From your research, Amy, why can it be so hard for people to let go of conflict, and to the point that it actually does affect their performance at work?
Yeah, it's funny, as someone who writes about this all the time, speaks about it, teaches on this topic, you would think that I would have a conflict and I would say, oh, I know exactly what to do. I'll let go of it. But I too have trouble letting go of it. And I just think it's our natural, physiological response to something that feels like a threat, which is what truthfully conflict and difficult conversations feels like. Is it's a threat to a sense of harmony, to our identity, maybe to our career, just to our sense of self or our ego. And when we feel threatened, we tend to have this stress response where we have cortisol rushing through our body. We go into what many people know as the fight or flight response, where we just don't make great choices. And our brains in those moments really react to protect ourselves. So our heart rate may go up, anything that's sort of preparing for us to run or to protect ourselves. The problem is when it's a minor issue, like not getting your way on a project plan, right? Running away doesn't help. Shutting down doesn't help. And what our brain does instead is actually tells a story about that, right? So, David always gets his way. I never get my way. David's arrogant. I'm humble, right? It starts sort of making meaning out of this negative response we're having. And because of negativity bias, which is our natural tendency to be drawn toward things that are negative versus positive, we really indulge ourselves, and indulge is almost has a too positive of a word, but we get deep into the negative aspects of these conflicts and really focus on that. One of my favorite statistics I've seen recently is 80%, this was a survey, I think, of like 2,000 Americans about their coworkers, and 80% of them said they have a terrible coworker. And sort of buried in this report, that was sort of the headline, was this other statistic that was 93% of people generally like their coworkers, right? And that is not an attention-grabbing headline, right? And yet it's my experience, right? If you ask me about the people I've worked with over the years, I would say the majority have been lovely, lovely people. Do I think more about the people who were not lovely and were in fact terrible? Absolutely. The same way I can tell you the negative comments in a performance review from 2001, right? But I could not tell you what the positive things that were said in that performance review. So we get, stuck in what's negative. We really start to ruminate about that. Our brain doesn't help us because it's telling us these stories that tend to be polarizing, tend to be very negative. And so actually letting go of the conflict requires us to overcome all of that, which isn't easy to do because, again, our mind is telling us this is the truth. The truth is you never get your way. The truth is your coworker is arrogant. Your coworker's a pessimist, or they're a know-it-all. And so you just sort of get stuck in that version of the story, and it can be hard to detach from the conflict or the difficult conversation.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.